Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about getting shelf ready for retail chains. If you have a great product and you want to sell to retail chains and you're wondering about getting retail shelf ready, this little training will give you some things to think about and how to get started today. With that said, let's get started on today's training.
So let's talk about
Hey everyone,
getting
this
your
is
product
Karen Waxman,
shelf-ready
founder of
for chain
Retail
stores.
MBA.
If
Today
you
we're
want
going
to
be
sell to
talking about how to
retailers,
get
you
your
obviously
product
know that
retail
to put the
ready
product on
and
a
how to get
store
it shelf
shelf, you
ready.
need to be
So
ready.
if you have a great consumer
And
product and you
there's a
really
lot
want to
of
sell to these
concerns
types of
about that
retailers
because you
and you're
don't know
wondering
what
how to get retail
costs
ready
are
and
associated
ready
with
for
working with
store
chain
shelves,
stores
this little
in
training will
regards
give
to
you
the
some
build
things to
out,
think
right? It's
about in
expensive
regards to getting
enough
retail
getting the
ready for chain
manufacturer
stores.
to deliver
With that
you the
said, let's
products and
get
all the
started on
things. Now
today's
you
training.
need to have all this other stuff ready for chain stores. And a lot of you've never worked with chain stores, so you don't know retail ready, product shelf ready looks like. So let's talk about that. There's many things to say. We have an entire checklist within our Retail MBA training system. It's an entire segment of all of our programs explaining shelf ready stuff. So I can't do that all in this training, but what I can do is give you a couple of them to help you get started. So one thing is EDI. EDI is something that a buyer's always going to want you to have. EDI is a tool that you need to spend money on that requires you to go get it in advance so that the retailer can do a deal with you. Ultimately, when you're selling to a retailer, you're sending them goods and they need to track your goods. And so they use a software system that tracks products and you as a vendor. And so EDI is that software. The thing with EDI is some of you think, oh, I'll just get it later after I get a deal with a chain store, meaning that like you'll pay for it if you get an order. The only concern is that a buyer has to delay until you get EDI set up and set up decently. So ultimately, you need to get this software and you can choose when you get it, but ultimately it will delay you getting a deal with the retailer basically because she can't proceed without you having EDI. How do you get EDI? You go do a Google search or go through one of our programs, and there are companies out there that will happily take your money in exchange for setting up EDI. And then when a buyer approves you as a vendor, you connect your EDI to their systems, if that makes sense. So that's something you need in order to get retail ready for stores because ultimately she will not be able to proceed without it. And sometimes you get concerned about whether or not you should spend like the premium amount versus the non-premium amount for the EDI and so forth. Generally speaking, there are companies that work with retail chains specifically, so that's good. And how much money you want to spend is based on, honestly, how much money they're going to receive, right? So the bigger the deal with the chain store, the more EDI or whatever you need. So ultimately, some of them have the cheaper for the smaller quantities sold to retailers versus the bigger ones. You get my point. You're paying for how much you use it. So that's something to consider. Probably when you're getting started, you don't need to spend the premium money, but at least work with a reputable company that can support you there. So that is what you need for retail ready. Obviously, the other one is you need to figure out your pricing. And there's entire explanations about pricing for chain stores. It's not something I could just throw out there, but the essence is your pricing will determine whether or not she can even work with you. There are products that are expensive. There are products that are cheap. There's products that need extra margin wiggle room. There's other ones that they can buy for almost cost depending on what it is. Does that make sense? There's products that are so important to them that they'll put up with your expensive pricing. There's products that they could care less about, but they need to put in their stores, so they'll just be mean to you. There's lots of things going on with pricing. You need to find out which retailer you can afford to work with. For instance, Walmart is the low price leader. They're going to hammer you on price till you're dead. It's just how it works. Whereas other retailers aren't going to be as hard and heavy on pricing. So part of it is which retailers do you want to sell to, and then make sure that your pricing does not supersede what they're already selling similar products for. Unfortunately, for some of you, if you're starting out, you're dealing with manufacturers that are just killing you on price right now. They can buy more quantities at stores, so you can get price breaks based on volume discounts. However, you do also need to take into account that if you really cannot find manufacturers that will give you a great price, then stop blaming it on the retailers not wanting your product. A lot of times it's you. You just haven't set it up in a way that they can work with you yet. And you have to own that and then come up with solutions as a business owner. Times, if the pricing's off, you either have to work really hard to find a better solution, or you need to find a retailer that can afford you. And that's getting retail ready, right? You got to figure out what that pricing is that's good, that's going to work for everybody, that's fruitful for all. And every product category is different, and different retailers care about different things, which is why retail chains is not the easiest thing to do, but it's not the hardest thing to do. It just, you might need a little bit extra coaching and support to figure out where that sweet spot is. And that's what we do. We help people figure out that sweet spot for your particular product and category. This is Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. Would love to help you get into chain stores. If you want to learn how to approach, pitch, and sell to them, please take a look at our website, retailmba.com. We have do-it-yourself programs, done-for-you services. And generally, we do everything there is about selling retail chains, and absolutely love what we do and would love to help you figure this out. Thanks so much.